when they about to pass out those holiday bags? We got some holiday bags coming. Man, I thought you told me this was your 4th time being in prison. You locked up for a triple homicide and you got 14 million years. You know we ain't about to get no prison holiday bag. Where you been at, man? I swear this your 1st time being locked up. So, you're telling me we're not getting a holiday bag? After Prison Show, and in this video I want to tell you about some of the craziest things that I learned about being in prison. Now first, what I mean by this is, whenever I was going to prison for the very first time, I had no idea what to expect at all. All I had known about were the things that guys were telling me in the jail. If you see somebody looking at them Junies, you better take that pencil right there and My God, sounds like Junies are pretty important in prison. And then not to mention everything that I had seen on TV as well. TV will depict prison to be a certain type of way with a lot of violence, a lot of other crazy stuff going on, extortion, gangs, craziness. And as I was getting to prison for the very first time, I saw that some of what I had seen on TV, it actually was true. And just like some of what these guys had told me in the jail was as well. However, with all of that, there were some things that I learned about prison that were pretty surprising. Some of these things were actually really good things and helped to make time a lot better, and others were overall just pretty crazy. Now, I'm sure that the things I'll be telling you about in this video, some of these things you probably had no idea about as well, and also, I'm quite certain these things are going to vary from state to state. Some states may offer these same exact things, some may not offer anything like this. And to be completely honest with you, when you think about the state of Virginia, where I'm at, where I've spent all of the time that I've ever spent locked up at, in comparison to some other states you could serve time at, some much worse states like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, states down south, Virginia overall really isn't that bad of a state to have to serve time in. But don't get me wrong, prison is prison. There's still gonna be violence, there's still gonna be extortion, there's still gonna be gangs trying to get over on people that they consider to be lesser, weaker prisoners, and no matter where you're at, you're gonna have to walk around like you've got a set of eyes in the back of your head, constantly looking over your shoulder, because you always have to be on your guard, no matter what state you're in, or what prison. And as crazy and scary as all of that sounds, some of these things that I learned about prison that I'm going to be sharing with you completely contradict anything that I've just mentioned right there. And this first crazy thing that I learned about prison, it's a perfect example of that. I will never forget the very first time that I got to prison, getting to this receiving unit, a level 1 through 5, sitting here with only a year and a half to serve altogether, and only having 6 months left to serve by the time I get to this prison, being surrounded by guys who have football numbers, 10, 20, 30, 100 years. And guys coming up to me like, "Hey, young blood, what your charges is, and how much time you got?" And me not really wanting to tell these guys that I only had 6 months left to serve. Me? My charges? How much time do I got? I'm in here for murder. I got 400 years. Yeah, 400. I ain't never coming home. What we got it doing here? But as I'm dealing with all of this and also trying to navigate my way through prison, again, mind you, this is my first time ever being here, and I am scared to death. I mean, anytime anybody sneezes, I'm damn near doo-dooing on myself. Get away from prison. Your first time going there, you're gonna be scared. But even with all of that, the craziest thing was, and I will never forget this, when somebody told me, "Hey, they're playing such and such movie on Friday night." Such and such movie? That movie just came out. What do you mean they're playing that on Friday? I thought you told me this is your 4th time being in prison and now you're in here on a triple murder charge with 1,700 years. You didn't know they showed new release movies on the weekends? Where there's a list right there on that banister that shows you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, every movie that they're playing and at what time. Oh yeah, I must have forgot. Man, prison messed me up, man. This is my 4th time being here. At this first prison I was at, and at certain other prisons as well, on the weekends, I learned that they played new release movies. New release movies? Oh my God, it's almost like we out here in the free world. I mean, we going to the movies on the weekend here in prison. Only thing we missing is some women. Wait a minute, there goes a girl right there. Hey girl, what's going on? Hey girl, look at them little booty shorts you wear. Whoa. That's a guy. Yeah, I was pretty surprised to learn that on the weekends, again, at certain prisons, they were playing new release movies. Another crazy thing that I learned about being locked up, and this is a two-part thing because I learned this at the jail, and then I learned there was a major difference getting to prison. But at the jail that I was at, where I served the 2 years waiting to go to prison, during the holidays, during Christmas, this was by far one of the craziest things I had ever seen. Because mind you, at this point while I was at this jail, I had already been getting locked up pretty much my entire life up until this point. So I had been to many different jails and spent many different Christmases in jail, and no other jail I had been to did anything even remotely close to what this last privately owned jail did during Christmas. And what that was they actually gave every single prisoner in the jail a holiday bag. Oh my God! You trying to tell me we getting presents on Christmas? We ain't nothing but the naughty list sitting here locked up, and we still gonna get us some presents. This was absolutely crazy. To think that you were sitting in jail and they were about to bring you some gifts right there from the staff. These were things that had been donated to the jail. They put these together for us. And you got to imagine there was over 1,000 people in this jail. At least I think it was 1,000. Don't quote me on that. I have no idea what the capacity of this jail actually was. But I wanted to put together something similar to what one of these holiday bags they would give us look like so I could show all of you. And it was something similar to what I'm holding right here in my hand. It would be in a little clear bag like this. You would open it up. It's Christmas time. They done brought us some presents. And we in jail. I'm trying to tell you, it don't get no sweeter than being locked up in jail on Christmas. Wait a minute. That's not sweet at all. There's nothing sweet about that. Back to what these bags would look like. Inside of the bag, you might get you like a roll of toilet paper. Oh my God. Locked up, this might be the best Christmas present you could ever receive. Considering at some facilities how hard it is to actually get your hands on a roll of damn toilet paper. I'm sorry, I just had a flashback of a time where I didn't have toilet paper for like a month because they kept stealing all of my toilet paper and I couldn't even wipe it. I couldn't wipe for a month. Toilet paper, maybe a brand new pair of socks. How did you know? I've been asking for this all year. I didn't even think Santa was listening, and you listen, Santa, you're real. How did you get inside these jail walls, and why didn't you take me with you? Socks, maybe a pencil, a stamp so you could write your loved ones, and also a couple of Zoom Zooms and Wham Whams as well. Maybe like some crackers, a little Rice Krispie treat, a brownie. And all jokes aside, though it wasn't much at all that they would give us, and as trivial as these items may seem, when you're locked up and you ain't got nothing, all of these items could be absolutely priceless to you, especially if you were somebody like me who wasn't able to go to commissary. Now, I told you there were two parts to this crazy thing that I learned right here with these holiday bags. And the second part is me getting to prison and Christmas time rolling around that first Christmas that I'm in prison. And I'm sitting there like, hey, when they about to pass out those holiday bags? We got some holiday bags coming. Man, I thought you told me this was your fourth time being in prison. You locked up for a triple homicide and you got 14 million years. You know we ain't about to get no prison holiday bag. Where you been at, man? I swear this your first time being locked up. So, you're telling me we're not getting a holiday bag? Yeah, that was a hard lesson to learn. I just gotta be honest with you, realizing getting to prison that we weren't getting any gifts. We weren't getting a prison holiday bag, all of us again being on the naughty list. However, this time, Santa Claus, he weren't coming. However, staying around this same general idea of the holidays in prison and prison holiday bags, there was another crazy thing that I learned, and that was that during the holidays, in fact, it was more than just on the holidays, it was more than just during Christmas time. I do believe now prisoners are allowed to do this 4 times a year. And what that is like quarterly, prisoners are allowed to order what is considered a holiday pack. And what exactly a holiday pack is this is a special type of commissary that prisoners are allowed to order. These are like specialty items that they're not able to get on regular commissary. However, these items are extremely jacked up in the price. If you think prison commissary is extortion, well, you gotta see the prices on these prison holiday packs. And I'm gonna be doing a video on that topic exclusively real soon. Let's go ahead and switch gears real quick to some other really crazy things that I learned about prison. Like how when I first got to prison at this receiving unit, where again you've got all of these prisoners housed, levels 1 through 5, and what all of these prisoners are doing here are waiting until they're classified and then shipped off to whatever prison they're going to serve their time at. But during this classification period, there's some really crazy things that take place. Like, first of all, how is a prisoner even classified? Obviously, it's going to be based upon the charges you have. If I'm in prison for a probation violation and another guy's got him some really crazy charges, I'll be going to a much lower level prison than this other guy. But there's some other crazy things I learned that go into this whole classification process. Obviously, your criminal record plays heavily into this. Do you have any gang affiliations? But here are two really crazy things that I had no idea would even play into this whole prison classification process. The first being education. Do you have a high school diploma or GED? Because if you do, that's going to subtract points from your classification score. And the higher your classification score is, well, then the higher level institution you're going to be getting sent to. And also something else really crazy that I had no idea would play into this at all, your age. Do you know that if you were 18 to 25 years old, that automatically adds like X amount of points to your total classification score? And you know, I'm not exactly sure why this was actually a thing. Like if you fell between the ages of 18 to 25, you were going to get all of these points added to your final score, which was going to determine where you were going prison-wise. But you know, the only thing that I can think is that they're thinking, well, if you're 18 years old and you're already coming to prison, you're probably going to be heading down a pretty bad road, meaning that prison could potentially become a revolving door for you. Or maybe they're thinking the guys between 18 and 25 are more violent, less mature, ready to fly off the handle at any given time. And you know, that actually makes a lot more sense to me now thinking about it, because it usually is all the young guys in prison acting the damn fool. And here's something else really crazy that I learned about prison, especially this whole classification process, and I want to emphasize this first and foremost. I'm not sure if this applies in every single state. I only know that this is what they do here in Virginia. But after they classify you and you know what level you are, whether you're level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, well, if you're 5, this probably isn't going to apply at all. If you're 4, you're definitely going to be a lot more limited as well. But once classified and they tell you what level you are, hey, you're a level 1, when they tell you your level, they let you pick which prisons you would like to be sent to. They give you 3 choices. And I will never forget when I experienced this for the very first time myself. I was a level 1 at this time. I'm sitting in this classification counselor's office and she's telling me, hey, you're a level 1. Go ahead and pick 3 prisons where you'd like to serve your time at. You're telling me I can pick which prison I'm gonna be sent to? What in the hell is this? I gotta admit though, this was something really awesome. They're gonna let me pick 3 different places, and of those 3, I'm pretty likely to end up getting sent to one of these 3 places. Now guys would end up telling me this later, and it really would have been good to know this going into this whole situation, but they would tell me, you know, usually you're gonna end up getting sent to the second prison that you choose. So whichever prison you really wanna go to, make sure you tell them that prison for number 2. But again, as I was experiencing this for the very first time, and I'm just thinking about going to prison for the very first time, never in a million years was I thinking that when I got to my first prison, the receiving unit, they were gonna let me choose a prison that I would like to go serve my time at. And when they did let me choose, they said, hey, look, you're from Tidewater. We don't have any prisons near Tidewater. The closest prison is this one right here. And I'll never forget telling this counselor chick, I said, I want to go to this prison, that prison, and this prison. And she said to me, she said, those are the farthest prisons away from Tidewater. And I told her, I said, yeah, I know. I don't want to be anywhere near there because all I've ever done is gotten in trouble out there. And plus, I ain't got no support on the outside anyways. So what in the hell does it matter? Matter of fact, counselor chick, hey, you want to write me? Because I can sure use a pen pal right about now. I want to tell you about one last really crazy thing that I learned about prison. And this is something that I'm sure you've seen on TV, maybe on like Locked Up or shows like that. But maybe you've seen these prisoners who are allowed to have pets. And these prisoners are actually training these animals so that they can then be released out into the free world and housed with people who need these service animals. Well, at every prison that I was at, we never had any programs like this at all. I heard about these other prisons that had these programs, and I personally thought that that would have been something that was really cool, something I wish I could have been a part of. But one crazy thing about that is the wait list to get involved in this program, I think was like 5 years. Can you imagine being on a waiting list for 5 years for anything. But though none of the prisons that I ever went to had one of these pen pal programs, I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. I was at one prison that did have animals there for the prisoners. And this was one of the craziest damn things that I ever saw in my life, but this was actually something that was offered by the prison. You could legitimately write a request form to mental health services telling these people, I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z or whatever. And you could put down, I'd like to come spend some time with Sparkles. Sparkles being the dog or whatever the dog's name was that was at the prison. And they would call you down like a couple of days later, maybe a week later. Who knows if by that point you haven't already gone off the deep end for whatever it is that you were dealing with prior to writing this request form. But they had this special little rec yard where guys were able to go out there for like an hour at a time and pet the dog. And this was supposed to be some sort of therapeutic thing to help guys who were dealing with, again, whatever it is that they were dealing with. And you know, I never went and did this myself, but I can remember many a time walking down the boulevard, seeing that little rec yard right there with old Sparkles out there and some crazy lunatic prisoner out there petting him like, I'm gonna do something crazy. And me thinking to myself, my God, you know, I wonder what kind of mental issues that dog's dealing with. Think about all the crazy lunatic prisoners he's got to deal with petting him on a daily basis. Poor Sparkles. You know, prison could be a pretty surprising place, and I don't mean that to sound as dirty as it probably does. But I learned a lot of things while there that I had no idea went on there or also were offered. And it's most certainly not all like what you see on TV or in the movies. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. As always, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!